spoilers. Spoiler section. Take the lead, Mitch. What was this whole schnabble about?
Oh yes, a very good question. So I mean, the opening sequence is the birth of the Warren's child, the daughter of whose name has gone a left of me, but
Belle?
there she is, Judy.
Judy.
Where did you get Belle from?
Okay, he's just Annabelle. It's like, oh, maybe the name's Belle. So I don't know.
No, Annabelle's a doll, bro.
Yeah, I know, but I thought they went with a cute, like,
Oh,
oh, her
right,
name's
yeah.
Belle. Oh, no, it was a guess.
To remind us of that terrifying ordeal we had with that doll. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very
Look at our
bad
daughter.
name.
Every time we look at our daughter, it's going to remind us of that creepy doll. No, so it's yeah, so it opens on the birth of Judy and the events that occurred, because there's always been a recurring thing about they introduced it even in the first one. The very first time they visited a possessed house, there was an entity and a presence there that scared them, and they ran away. But then after that scenario, they swore never to run away and help other people. So this entity that was their very first ever encounter has now come back when Judy's a young adult. And we learned that this evil presence was there during the night of her birth, and that during the birth she was a stillborn, and according to what the husband says, that their child was dead for basically a minute before all of a sudden coming back to life and all that stuff. So okay, I was like intrigued. They're gonna have some kind of special significance with Judy. Like, I already was ideas crumbling in my mind. Like, this child was never meant to be born. This child is alive from some kind of supernatural essence. I don't know, because Judy has been involved in the previous films. Like, she had an encounter with Annabelle. She had an encounter with the I think it was the nun as well, and all that. A lot of these supernatural things were trying to gun for Judy. And I was thinking they built it up that there's something real special about Judy, that the reason why these demon things are always trying to gun for her. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The first half of the film I felt was directing that way, because we get introduced to the soon-to-be husband of Judy, which was this young cop who retired early on. And from the get-go, I'm like, there's something fishy about this guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's just showing up. This is the first time his parents have met him. Like, all this weird supernatural stuff is starting to get back to the daughter, and is what I was assuming was roughly around the same time this man came into her life.
Yeah, they even said, oh, it's been happening for months. Like, they're insinuating it's
Yeah.
And they just mentioned
Exactly.
they've been dating for 6 months. So it's like, oh, hello,
Yeah.
it's so obvious.
And there was even times where, like, the mother's, like, having one of her moments where she can sense a presence. And then she'll say, there's something here. And they'll cut to him.
Yeah, she's like, she's like turning, like she's assuming like she's looking at him in a sense, because he's in the kitchen. He's like in the kitchen helping with with making pancakes or something, and then she'll be like, "There's something here," and she's like turning around, and it's like, "Oh, are you gonna realize it's him finally?" Dude, I was excited.
Well, the lullaby thing that she gets her daughter to say when she has these weird moments, and it basically turns off the supernatural stuff, the clairvoyancy. He was so committed to understanding that song, as if it was like he's trying to learn it so like it can counter her or something. I was waiting for that to be what happens, but no, I don't know if it was just misdirection intentionally, or if it was just poor direction, or midway through production they decided to rewrite it and go a different avenue. I don't know.
I like that idea, actually. That's a good theory.
Because, like, as much as this is supposed to be supernatural and all that stuff, these characters are apparently based off real people in real life. So the Warren's daughter, I guess, did marry a retired cop and all that stuff. I don't know. But going into the film without any acknowledgement of the real Warrens and all that stuff, that's where my mind was presuming this was going to go. And I thought perhaps he was involved with this whole thing from the beginning. You know, planting the seeds to have the Warrens return to the original entity that almost killed their daughter or something. But it did not go that way. It really,
Yeah.
by the second half of the film, just turned very generic. Like, okay, there's a house in, I think it was Philly, Pittsburgh or something. No, Pennsylvania, who are being haunted or possessed. Large family, shit's happening, their family's getting hurt, and so they need to reel in the Warrens to come help them out. And up to that point, I was intrigued, and then the second they got introduced to the family, it just felt like wash, rinse, repeat of what we've seen from the original Conjuring. The family's in turmoil, Warren's there to help them, but a little brief plot twist, it was never about this family. This entity was out to get the Warrens. So again, I'm thinking this demon is way more personal, that it has a much more deeper intention than just being malicious. But by the end result, I feel like that's all the creature wanted. The creature just wanted to kill them and nothing else. There was no real other ulterior motive than just do what it's done to other people. So, yeah, by the end of the film, I was kind of like, all right, that was the ending.
Yeah, I was
So,
disappointed. Like it could have gone. It could have gone so many different places, and it kind of fell.
yeah,
It chose the most flat one that for
yeah,
me.
exactly. Very, very vanilla, I guess. They didn't want to try and be daring or, I guess, spring out from what the Conjuring's already provided us. It was all wash, rinse, repeat. But saying that, what it did deliver was still suspenseful, still creepy, still well shot for the most part. Um, the performances are the performances. Like, you're telling your cast of actors to, act against a supernatural entity. So they all bring it. Patrick Wilson's great. Apologies, I've forgotten her name. Vera Farmiga. Apologies if I butchered the last name. They bring the A game again. It feels like they've never stopped. It does feel like this will be their last entry because, as the movie is, The Conjuring 4 Last Rites, and this is supposed to be their very last exorcism before they retired and wrote their book, as they show in the film. Maybe they'll try and do a spin off involving the daughter and the cop. I don't know.
I hope not.
New, young, fresh faces. Doing paranormal investigations in the 80s and 90s. Maybe. Am I looking forward to that? No. I think it's best to put a stop to something before it becomes already overly mundane and derivative, which this fourth installment could have done. But as we said in the non-spoiler area, the cinema was nearly full. It was nearly like a third full, which is shocking for a supernatural film. Not even before October, so it still has a fan base out there. Um, Whether or not they should use that as an example to keep making more and more and more and more of these things, I don't think so, because then it'll just become sore. It'll become, hey, are they up to the 12th movie or are they up to the 13th movie? I can't remember.
Yeah,
So it's, I think, better to finish it off and just leave it as it is.
yeah. Leave it at a high. They're like, yeah. I hope they don't use the whole. We don't run from. It's like the whole
Our
family
problems.
motto. We don't run from our problems or something like that. So yeah. So the whole time with the mirror, it was going after.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
going after Judy. But even though the other family had
Apparently.
it, probably the evil spirits were trying to get the family to come investigate. I guess that's how.
Yeah. It has no problem with following other families and returning to them. But with the Warrens, it had to wait like what 20 something years for it to finally come back to them. Which again, to me, the evil entity was never fleshed out properly. Like this
Yeah,
mirror, what's the significance of this mirror? Where did this mirror come from? It's never explained. That it was never about the mirror. Apparently, it was this entity that disguises itself behind things. Okay, cool. So it can use your fears because we see a cameo of Annabelle, we see a cameo of the nun, and all that stuff. It's using what the Warrens have already experienced to like terrorize them. Cool, but what is it? and what makes it so special that it wants Judy so badly, even when she was born.
Yeah.
It's never explained.
It's kind of dumb too.
It's just
It made some dumb decisions. Whatever the ghost the demon was, like its whole purpose was to kill Judy. It finally dragged Judy up the stairs, and she started hanging herself. But yet the demon left the door open and the ladder going down. Like in reality, wouldn't you like if the demon would have like closed the door and let the ladder up and it's GG done, it's dead. But no,
yeah,
it left a little plot armor for the family to be like, oh Judy, what's going on? And like climb up the stairs and help her. It's like,
yeah,
dude,
exactly.
the demon can like
Yeah.
freaking lift stuff anytime it wants. But no, yeah, like
Yeah,
little dumb
Exactly
plot
right.
hole there.
I thought it would have been a lot more clever if it was not ever about killing Judy, but like using her as a conduit, which these demons have tried to do before. You know, and I thought that was what would have made the significance, because there's a part in the film where the cop is talking about his story, about how he had a near-death experience, that a suspect had a 12-gauge shotgun aimed at his face and pulled the trigger, but it clicked. Only to find out that the weapon was actually with ammo. It was just a misfire, and his whole philosophy is, I was not meant to be born, you know, so I'm going to live the rest of my life as gratefully as possible or whatever, and don't be a cop anymore, be this new person. I thought that was going to have some more significant meaning to the birth of Judy, saying like, she was a stillborn, so in that philosophy, she's not meant to be born either. I thought that was going to come back around and like say like, she was never meant to be alive. She was meant to be a conduit for an evil demon or something that wanted to get to her. Because during the pregnancy, you know, the mother's seen glimpses of this entity kind of crawling on the roof, you know. But again, it's just never really thoroughly fleshed out as a character. It's there, but it's not there. It's just, when you rewind the clock back to the original Conjuring film, they establish a really well-grounded supernatural force, because it's about a mother back in like the colonial era that was a devil cultist, and she sold her soul to the devil in exchange to serve him in the afterlife. So that evil spirit that enabled that stayed in that house and terrorized families after generation after generation after generation. That's a well-established villain. You kind of get an idea of what its purpose is. Even to a lesser extent, Annabelle, who we understand is a demon that is trying to trick people into allowing it into its life. So it tricked a young couple friends into allowing this demon into possess a doll to wreak havoc. Again, it's established. The nun, I cannot recall. The nun was supposed to be a much more greater presence that's been around for centuries, because we have it. The nun got its own individual story. You know, that's how much they built into it. This one doesn't have any presence like that at all. And so for a fourth installment that is supposed to be the greatest adversary they ever faced, it felt so vanilla and just no presence with it at all. They could have just used one of the others from the past, and it would have had the exact same result. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it had a few boxes ticked. It was suspenseful, it had some good jump scares, but again, the third segment of it just did not know how to stick that landing.
Yeah.
And it comes across with a very vanilla villain that doesn't even have a face. It hides behind other faces.
Well, they didn't get to the ending a good way, because it's obvious the whole story is basically about your own demons, and basically looking at yourself and basically, I don't know, what is it, fighting your own demons or something like that. So that was kind of what the whole thing was about, I think, which is okay, especially in the end where they'll like look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, run, don't hide. It's like, okay, so they looked at the mirror and then they basically beat the ghost. I thought that was all right. It's just the way it got there, it was very basic. They could have gone on many different ways. They set a lot of things up that could have been like, oh, well, how about this, how about that, and none of it goes into fruition. Even again with the fiance, there was one scene where he goes outside, he drives into a lamppost or something, and he's stuck out there, and he runs back into the house, and he tries to get into the house, but it looks like, and the kids are trying to escape, and it looks like he's there holding the door. I laughed a bit. It looks like he was holding the door from stopping them from escaping, and I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy. And then it was actually no, it was him trying to open the door, but the ghost was closing it. But it made it set up so perfectly that he had something to do with it. That he's like, the kids are trying to escape, and he's there going, "Come on, kids!" Yeah, but he's actually like holding the door closed.
It was a stupid setup too, because like he's supposed to be helping him get this mirror down out of the attic, and then halfway through he's like, "I'll go get the car started." It's like, what purpose does that serve? Get the freaking mirror out of the house first. Worry about the car later. You know, and it seemed like he parked his car like 3 miles away because he's doing a burnout and he's speeding down the road. I was like, that was just never clearly explained.
Exactly. There was a
lazy writing to get out of the situation.
And what was that whole cinematography thing where the camera went bird's eye view and did this tricky flip, and then it went down back into the house, first person view. I don't know. There was a whole part there that confused me, and he almost wasn't a part of the story at all. But they actually gave him a significant part of the film. There, they actually made him by himself in a car. I'm like, okay, this is where something's going to happen. Like, he was pointless. It feels like he was pointless. There's like no point for him.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, he didn't really contribute anything more to the film except just being there.
I guess, because he was there basically for people that didn't watch the movie before. Like he acted like the audience that hasn't seen the film. Like, oh, so what happened in the past? Oh, can us? And the father's like, oh, let me show you the room with all our 1,000 things in it. So it's almost like he was there to basically tell the audience that haven't seen it before roughly what's going on.
Yes, that was the point. But the thing is, saying that, it's unnecessary because as we see, there's a big family gathering, and the husband of Warren, he explains to all the guests what the whole scenario is anyways.
Anyway,
and then does it again for him. So again, that served no purpose.
Well, they could have done it a different way where he wasn't involved. Yeah.
I just feel like they just set him up to be the new franchise, even though he has no clue what to do with like supernatural stuff. And at the end, when he throws him the keys, he was like, "Yeah, it's your problem. Now, welcome to the family." I was like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this? I don't know."
You throw the keys to the devil room. It's like, oh yeah, well that's an ultimate setup.
Yeah,
that's
I'm gonna throw it back. Thanks. I don't want anything to do with it.
So yeah, he gave him the keys. Oh, honestly, I think that does set up a new Conjuring because it tells the audience he's got the keys now, so he's got the
I wouldn't be surprised if they do a TV series. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, everything. Like if you can't make a film, you can at least make a TV series out of it now. I feel like that's how it is. I hope not.
Because that would become very gimmicky. Like, tune in next week. Another house gets
every week. Every episode there's a new ghost. It almost becomes like a Law and Order episode.
Oh god, spooky.
Yeah.
Rating.
Okay, let's see here. I'm at a 6.5 out of 10. It's not quite a 6. It's not quite average, and it's not quite above average, like a 7. I'll stick it right in the middle at a 6.5.
I'll give it a 6, and that's a solid 6. I respect that it still stayed in the same kind of wavelength of the Conjuring franchise, so that it doesn't feel out of place. But at the same time, the reason why I'm not giving it any higher score is because it did feel not very daring and very vanilla formulaic. So, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, okay. And coming out of the movie kind of disappointed, I guess, is how right?
Just meh.
Meh, yeah. Yeah, the first 2 acts I feel like were really going somewhere, and then the third act, it kind of declined to like, oh shit, You know, it was just slowly my freaking, it's like my heart sank on the third act as it started going. It's like, oh no. And I still had hope. Like, oh, maybe they're going to turn around and do this, but never ended up happening, which is fair enough. You know, you can't be you can't be a beggar. Beggars aren't choosers or whatever. I feel like they could have done better than what they did. They chose to go the easiest route.
Yeah.
But
Almost like
overall,
low budget. Right.
yeah, it was almost a great film. I'll say if they stuck the landing and they did a couple of little thingos, if they actually used a couple of plot devices to not make, you know, a twist, not to have a twist in the film, but they did a bit more intelligently, it could have been a great film. It was almost there. It just didn't hit the mark. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's our review for this film. Please subscribe, because our reviews are better than 99% of other people's reviews, because they suck. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye-bye.